No one expected a quiet London evening to erupt into one of the most chaotic royal rumor storms in years. But that's exactly what happened after Sarah Ferguson allegedly opened her mouth at a private gathering. The Duchess of York, famously unpredictable and known for dropping comments that blur the line between mischief and mayhem, reportedly made a remark so subtle yet so loaded that it changed the direction of global headlines overnight. It wasn't shouted, it wasn't planned, and it wasn't meant to leave that room. But someone heard it, repeated it, and within hours, the rumor had a life of its own. Multiple outlets claimed that Fergie hinted Meghan Markle's first royal connection wasn't Prince Harry, igniting speculation across every corner of the internet. Commentators, social media sleuths, and royal watchers all dove into theory mode, pulling together old tabloid stories from Meghan's Hollywood past and connecting them to Fergie's mysterious phrasing. And that was all it took. Within minutes, online discussions resurfaced years of speculative chatter about Meghan's early social life, whispers that had never been proven, but never fully disappeared either. Fergie's alleged words didn't confirm anything, but they didn't deny anything either. And when a senior royal hints, even vaguely, the world listens. What made this moment so explosive wasn't the rumor itself. It was the source. Fergie wasn't an outsider or a nameless critic. She was family, and that changed everything. But this wasn't the first time Meghan's past became a battleground for royal narratives. Long before the titles, the tiaras, and the global headlines, Meghan Markle was navigating a completely different world. Hollywood, unforgiving, competitive, and built on connections. She wasn't an overnight success. She worked her way through small acting roles, charity galas, networking events, fashion parties, and elite social circles where the goal was simple: be seen, be remembered, and be invited back. It was the kind of environment where everyone was hustling for their breakthrough moment, and with that lifestyle came speculation. Over the years, tabloids have spun countless narratives about what Meghan's early career looked like. Stories about exclusive industry parties, luxury weekend events, and high-profile networking circles circulated endlessly, always framed as rumor, never backed by verified proof. Yet they stuck to Meghan's name in a way they didn't stick to anyone else's. Critics used these whispers as ammunition, supporters dismissed them as fantasy, but the stories hovered in the background, a shadow Meghan could never fully escape. That's why Fergie's alleged comment hit so hard, it didn't introduce a new rumor and it resurrected old ones. The kind that documentary channels, gossip blogs, and tabloids had recycled for years. The kind that were vague enough to be dramatic, yet unverifiable enough to be safe for sensational headlines. Fergie's comment didn't confirm any of these stories, but it didn't have to. All it took was a hint for social media to spin thousands of theories.
Because in the royal world, perception travels faster than truth. But to understand why this specific rumor took off like wildfire, you have to look at who was pulled into the narrative next.
If Fergie had hinted at anyone else, the story might have fizzled out in a day. But the moment Prince Andrew's name entered the conversation, everything changed. Andrew has become one of the most controversial figures in modern royal history. His past associations, legal scrutiny, and disastrous public statements have turned him into a permanent source of tension inside the monarchy. So when social media users and commentators linked Fergie's alleged words to Andrew, even indirectly, the narrative instantly escalated from mild gossip to international headlines. To be absolutely clear, there is zero verified evidence that Meghan and Andrew had any connection before her relationship with Harry. But online platforms aren't ruled by evidence. They're ruled by speculation. Commentators immediately began sifting through old timelines, unrelated photos, overlapping events, and tabloid stories from Meghan's Hollywood days. Theories multiplied. Reddit threads exploded. TikTok investigators created timelines that were more fiction than fact, but gripping enough to go viral. Andrew's name, already tied to scandal, gave the rumor a radioactive edge. Even without confirmation, the idea of Meghan, already a polarizing figure, being linked in rumor form to Andrew's turbulent history was enough to ignite days of non-stop media frenzy. And the avalanche had only begun. But the reaction inside Buckingham Palace was even more intense than what the public saw. Publicly, the palace said nothing. No statements, no clarifications, no pushback. Just silence. The same silence that has defined the monarchy's media strategy for generations. Behind the scenes, though, the mood was very different. Advisors were reportedly concerned about the speed of the rumor's spread. Palace communication teams scrambled to assess the fallout. Senior aides debated whether to intervene or let the story burn out on its own. And all of it was complicated by one uncomfortable truth. This rumor wasn't sparked by a tabloid or an anonymous critic. It supposedly came from Fergie, someone with decades of proximity to the royal family. Harry, according to insiders quoted by various outlets, was furious but cautious. He knew that reacting publicly would turn a runaway rumor into a wildfire. Meghan reportedly pulled back from appearances, letting the storm pass while her team quietly explored possible legal avenues. Every moment of silence, however, seemed to fuel more online speculation. Inside the palace, the phrase "stay quiet" was both a strategy and a risk. The longer the family remained silent, the louder the rumor grew. And with every headline that tied Meghan's name, even speculatively, to Andrew's, the panic inside palace walls deepened. But the biggest question of all remained unanswered. Why would Fergie say something that could unleash this level of chaos? To understand why Fergie may have dropped such an explosive remark, you have to understand her history, a life defined by scandal, exile, reinvention, and survival. Sarah Ferguson is no stranger to the front pages. She has lived some of the monarchy's most embarrassing headlines, from financial controversies to tabloid exposés that still follow her today. But Fergie has always outplayed the storm. Every time the family pushed her out, she found a way to return, not quietly, but boldly. She knows exactly how the media works. She knows how a single sentence can shift public perception. And she knows that when she speaks, people listen, even when they pretend not to. So why now? Some royal commentators believe she may have been airing out old frustrations, nudging back at an institution that embraced Meghan far more warmly than it ever embraced her. Others believe she was simply being cheeky, using humor that others misinterpreted. Another theory suggests she was trying to redirect attention away from Andrew, intentionally or not. Then there's the idea that Fergie saw an opportunity, a resurgence of media interest in her name, a chance to reposition herself in a news cycle she had long been sidelined from. Whether it was strategy, frustration, deflection, or pure accident, one thing is clear. Fergie understands timing better than anyone in the royal sphere, and this rumor, intentional or not, was perfectly timed to dominate global headlines. But the real explosion came when the story hit the press, and social media took over. Within hours, the alleged comment had broken free from private conversations and spilled onto the biggest platforms in the world. TikTok channels began dissecting every detail. Twitter crafted theories that went viral in minutes. Comment sections became battlegrounds, and tabloids resurrected years-old stories that had long since faded into obscurity. Headlines didn't accuse anything directly, but they didn't need to. Words like mysterious past, elite circles, rumors resurface, and unanswered questions did the work for them. Commentators turned speculative whispers into dramatic narratives. Online sleuths analyzed old photos, videos, and timelines, connecting events that had nothing to do with each other. Clipped screenshots became evidence. Out-of-context quotes became insight, and the algorithm rewarded the chaos. Harry and Meghan's team reportedly debated potential strategies, including legal warnings, but ultimately stayed silent. This silence, however, only deepened the speculation. The internet loves a mystery, and in the absence of facts, it builds its own story. Commentators framed Meghan's silence as meaningful. Critics called it evasive. Supporters called it dignified. Either way, the narrative was out of her hands, and that silence became its own headline, leading to even more tension behind closed doors. In Montecito, the atmosphere reportedly shifted. Meghan retreated from public view, focusing on her private life and avoiding situations that could amplify the rumor. Harry felt torn, protective of his wife, but aware that reacting publicly could legitimize baseless speculation. Their advisors revisited crisis strategies, weighing every possible outcome. Meanwhile, royal watchers dissected every move, or lack of one. Was the palace protecting Meghan by saying nothing, or were they distancing themselves? Some analysts argued that silence was a shield. Others said it was abandonment. Online debates raged. Half the internet insisted this was nothing more than recycled tabloid fantasy with a fresh coat of paint. The other half questioned why no one, not the palace, not Fergie, not Meghan, stepped forward to dismiss the rumor fully. But the truth is simpler. The royal family rarely clarifies rumors, even when silence hurts more. Inside the palace, trust felt fragile. A rumor that originated from inside the royal circle caused more damage than anything an outsider could have created. It wasn't just gossip, it was a crack in the foundation of royal unity. And when the dust finally began to settle, the royal narrative had already shifted. When the storm finally calmed, one undeniable truth remained. The narrative had changed, even without evidence. Royal stories don't need proof to leave a mark. They only need momentum. And Fergie's alleged comment, whether misinterpreted, exaggerated, or strategic, gave old rumors new life. Meghan has spent years redefining her public image, but the royal spotlight has a way of magnifying the past, real or imagined. This moment proved how fragile reputation becomes when family, media, and public perception collide. The monarchy prides itself on controlling its narrative, on tradition, silence, and order. But this rumor exposed how quickly that control can slip. A single whisper sparked global conversation. A single sentence from Fergie unraveled months of careful PR. And a single rumor forced the palace to confront old wounds they hoped were buried. And now, one haunting question lingers in the air. If this is the kind of remark that escapes during casual conversations, what secrets never make it out of those palace walls? Because in the world of royalty, silence isn't just protection, it's power. And every rumor, every slip, every whisper reveals just enough to remind us that behind the glamour, there are shadows we're not supposed to see. And if this story shook the monarchy, the next one might just shake it to its core. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next upload. And don't forget to drop a like and share your thoughts in the comments. It helps the channel grow and lets me know what stories you want covered next.